Hello, good Friday evening to everyone. This is Popcast on the Rocks, episode 23. That's a scary number, right? That's
23?
the
I think
yeah, isn't
13
that
is
like
worse,
the
isn't it?
no, the movie, the Jim Carrey, everything leads up to 23, isn't that the number?
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I haven't
Wow.
watched the
That's
movie, but
pulling some old school trivia out of your hat there.
I don't know. But yeah, that's what I thought of.
Okay.
Anyways, Friday night, gonna be a great episode.
hmm
How you feeling this evening?
Um, I am excited that it's Friday for sure, end of the week. But I definitely had a little mishap today, so that was not so great. I had my parents over for some like social distancing hangout on our deck, and our dog Ivy was running around out on our lawn, and she was sort of running towards the front yard. So I ran down the deck to go get her and stepped on a loose nail. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, wait, so a loose nail? You
So it was
mean a
so it was
just
loose
sticking
in the
out?
board and had like worked its way up. So, yes, I stepped on the head of a nail
Hmm.
and it was not good.
Did you drive it back in with your foot?
With my foot.
Yeah.
I wish I was like that powerful. But no, my foot does not alternate as a hammer. It's not
Oh,
a tool of steel, unfortunately. No, it just ripped my foot open. So now I've got like a nice little bandage slash makeshift cast on it.
yeah. Are
So
you tetanus shot up to date?
yes, yes, that was the first thing I thought of. Was when did I get my shots last? And yes, I am up to date, so I shouldn't have a problem. But yeah,
Well,
I'm starting the weekend off, wounded at a
is it going to
disadvantage.
prohibit your running and stuff?
It will. I was planning on going running today, which is definitely not a great idea like based on how it feels right now. And then we were supposed to start up softball practice on Sunday, so I'll have to see how
Mm,
that goes, how I
okay.
feel. So,
Yeah.
because I got it
Yeah.
pretty good, like
Sorry to
that
hear
it was
that.
it was like sticking up about this much.
Jesus.
So,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah.
For audio listeners, that was looked like about 2 inches.
Yeah, yeah, sorry. For all the podcast peeps out there, yes, it was
Yeah.
sticking up by quite a good amount, so, I didn't
Ouch.
I didn't impale my foot on, like, the whole 2 inches of it,
Yeah.
but
Yep.
I got it enough. I mean,
Yep.
when you use the word impale, any part of
Right.
that is enough.
Yeah. Well, not to seem opportunistic, but I think it's a really good week that we compete on our Apple Watch fitness things. There's always the option when you do a workout, I can hit, challenge. I might
Yeah.
do that this week. I don't know. I'm liking my odds. Oh no, you froze. Man, everything was going so perfect. Hopefully she's aware that she froze. Because if not, then it could be frozen for a bit. I'll text her just in case. Um, anyways, everybody in the community, make sure you say sorry. Feel bad for you, Andrea. Oh, Alan can message on there. Nice. So she knows that. Oh, there she's
I'm
back.
back.
Oh man, I should have known. Like your audio was sounding so good, the picture was so clear.
I
It is
know,
bound to
everything was
happen.
working too well.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, apparently my computer decided for me that I was afraid of your challenge and just backed me out of the whole
Yeah.
thing right
Whoa.
as you were
Yeah.
about to throw down.
Hang up. Hmm. Yep. Okay. Well, I wish you a speedy recovery. I'm not sure what
Thank
to
you.
recommend. Keep your foot up above your heart so you don't bleed out and that kind of thing.
Oh,
But
man, I don't know if I'm that flexible, especially especially not right
well, you
now.
lay down and then I mean, not standing.
I don't know, I'm
Yeah.
sitting right now. Maybe, I should be, sitting and laying on the floor, and all you see is just my
Yeah.
foot in place of my face.
I mean, you can't put your feet behind your head?
Sadly, no. I feel like so I was in gymnastics when I was younger, and I think I could do that if I'm
Hmm,
remembering correctly. I'm pretty sure
okay.
I was that flexible when I was younger, but yeah, no, sadly no longer.
Okay. Yep. It goes away if you don't use it. That's for sure.
That's right. So,
Flexibility.
well, anyway, how
Um,
are you doing? Hopefully,
well,
better
yeah,
than me.
much better. Yeah, much better than that.
Yeah,
Any injuries I've sustained recently have been very minor, so
good,
can't complain about that.
good.
Um, the guy we work with, as we always farm with,
Mhm.
he almost got hit by a big piece of tin. Could have got cut up good, whatever. But
Yikes. What
other
happened
than
there?
that, I don't know. We just had this piece on the shed door come off
Uh-huh.
very unexpectedly. So
Okay.
there that was. But
Oh,
yeah.
near
Otherwise,
miss.
happy it's the weekend. Work's
Mhm.
calmed down a little bit. Um, weather is nice and warm.
That's right.
So all things good. I guess the way I am, I woke up freaking out because the first thing I saw this morning was about was another bad Microsoft story. So I
Oh,
just worked
yeah.
myself into a tizzy right there. It's like, oh my god! But anyways, I didn't put that in the list. That's another thing that's not in the list because it's not relevant. But
Y-
anyways,
You want to
yeah.
take a moment and go on your Microsoft rant? I see it. I see it in
I
your eyes,
I
John.
don't. No, I don't. I will just say um related to this podcast in
Mhm.
Microsoft news, they're shutting down Mixer. So
Yep.
Twitch will remain which we are on now, which is great, but Twitch will remain the dominant uh particularly game streaming platform
Mhm.
that's out there. Competitors being YouTube and Facebook gaming.
Mhm.
Um, but Twitch is by far and away. So yeah, Mixer. Microsoft bought a company a number of years ago. I don't remember the name of them now,
Okay.
but changed the name to Mixer. Start working on game streaming. Built it in their consoles, make it easy. But unfortunately, given the utter failure of this generation for them, the Xbox. I mean, if it had been the other way around and they had had the numbers of sales like PlayStation 4,
Mhm.
then maybe Mixer would have been a big thing, because you could
Right.
sit there. Yes, Beam, that's what it is. Alan brought up. That's what the technology in the company originally was. So yeah, I guess it's all connected. I just get tired of Microsoft giving up on things.
Mhm. Yeah.
I know that they have like bottom lines to meet and they want, stay in the green and all that kind of thing. But, you know, there's something to be said for deciding what's important to your company, what you
Mhm.
see where you can be a differentiator, which you can really, when you can really bring something good, building out an ecosystem, the whole thing, and sticking to it, you
Yeah.
know. And if you have confidence in that thing, then you make it work.
Mhm.
But they don't like to do that. So um, anyways, so yeah, I had put a snarky comment in as like, everybody tell me if I should do a monthly why Microsoft blows segment.
Yeah.
See, but again, they're not always in the media news, and one of their better segments of their, I mean, like the only good segment really of their consumer based stuff is Xbox. So that's what
Mhm.
we'll cover here more most of the time. But before we get too far in, and with more gaming news, what are you drinking? You drink anything special tonight, or some sort of
Ah.
herbal tea to heal your foot?
Yeah, and crushed up Vicodin or something in my, take away the pain.
That's
Uh
one way. Yeah. Okay.
um no, just a little alcohol, same as I had on Wednesday night. We're still in the
Okay.
midweek, kind of middle between drinking days. So this past Monday, I believe, or Sunday was World Lambrusco Day. So I've got some of that in a glass. The next upcoming day was like Mai Tai Day. And
Hmm.
I realized I've never had a Mai Tai, but then I looked at the ingredients and realized why I've never had one. It's because I never have those ingredients in my home.
Isn't it just like a pile of sugar? I don't think
It,
I've had
it
one
is.
either.
It is.
Okay.
So it's like spiced rum, um, two different kinds of syrup, sugar, and lime juice. And I
Okay.
was just like, yeah, no, there's probably no way I would ever drink that. So,
Mm.
but I don't know if somebody ever ordered one or if like we were going somewhere that was like, I don't know, world famous, I'd try it out. But yeah, it is
Yeah,
just
if that
like,
was they're known for.
right. Yeah. If it was like an occasion kind of thing, I'd do it. But yeah, otherwise it's just like swallow a spoonful of sugar and,
Yeah,
I could probably do the same thing to myself.
but sometimes that doesn't work out either. Like we were at Margaritaville, that was some time ago or whatever,
That's
and then had
right.
margaritas and they were garbage. So
Oh God, that was so sad. But
your
now we know.
namesake,
Like, I
yes.
mean, it was like a thing that we were like, "Well, you have to get a margarita in Margaritaville." And now
Mm.
we know, like, that's a pile of trash, but it
Yeah,
was still like the thing to do.
yep. Our waiter wasn't even knowledgeable. It seemed on the
No.
market. Oh, they're all good. Whatever.
Yeah.
Just pathetic.
Yeah. I feel like out of like because I know we all tried like one or two, and I feel like out of all of us, there was like one of them that we all agreed was like
Yeah, yeah,
good, and then the rest were like mediocre.
yep.
But
Well, I didn't stick to the events this time. So I just had some sociable cider works
okay.
cider. Uh,
What do you got?
it's it's written freewheeler. Yeah, freewheeler.
Okay.
Freewheeler dry apple.
Okay.
It
I
is
didn't.
that's good.
There you go. Yeah, I didn't know they've come out with some interesting flavors as of late. They've got like a spicy like jalapeno and something that I really enjoyed last
Mm,
time I was there. I didn't think I was gonna like jalapeno in a cider, but I did. It was really great.
okay,
Even I think Dana had it with me and she liked it as well, which I was really shocked at. She never
sure.
liked spicy anything, so yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a balance. Did you have this spicy beer at Fittiger's?
I didn't know.
Okay. They have a
No.
spicy beer and they recommend mixing it, I think
Okay.
half and half with something, and
Okay.
that's always good. You
Yeah.
just do that, yeah.
Yeah, I would have tried it, but Chris and I just got, like, a crowler with our meal, and since he was gonna
There you go.
drink it and it was late at night and he's an old man, so he has heartburn issues,
Hmm.
so we avoided the spicy beer, but I
Yep.
would have tried it.
Yep. Old man Stewart.
That's what they call him.
Yeah. All right. Well, we don't have a primary topic of discussion tonight, but tonight could
Mhm.
be a pretty spoiler-free night for people, so maybe
Yeah.
some viewers will enjoy that.
Mhm.
A few more gaming-related news items up top. Animal
Mhm.
Crossing still huge, big thing, and an update is coming um, to um, to allow for swimming and diving.
Alright.
So that'll be different.
Yeah, if you can't go swimming in the real world, you know, swim in the Animal Crossing world.
Well, I mean,
Almost
you
as
won't get any
refreshing.
seaweed on your feet. I don't know. It's yeah.
No kids peeing in your pool.
Yep. Speaking of the like Animal Crossing and its continued success and all that stuff, I was in a Target the other day and there were zero video game consoles of any kind available to purchase.
Oh,
So Nintendo
wow. Okay.
Switch, Xbox Ones, PS4s, all the cabinets were empty.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's just never seen that before. That's
Sign of the
because I've been
times.
yeah, I'd kind of become accustomed to the Switch being gone, but
Sure.
I don't know if they're scaling back production already on the current other consoles, you
Mhm.
know? or
in prep,
what.
yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, my guess would be, I mean, probably a combo, scaling
mm,
back production. And then also, people are bored. They're home. They've got kids at home, need to entertain them.
yeah,
Gaming console is a way to do it.
yeah. I don't know. I mean, uh, Sony's going to want to sell some systems yet, or hope they
Hmm.
can, because Last of Us 2 just came out,
Hmm.
and Ghost of Tsushima is coming out soon. So I don't know.
And Cyberpunk is going to be
Yeah,
available on,
but
obviously this
yeah,
gen. So,
yep. Hmm. Though, I mean, well, I guess they're doing you can play it on the new system too, I guess. So
yep.
that's fine. But that was kind of dilemma for us for a bit when it was coming out earlier. That's why I honestly don't mind the delay. I'm
Yep.
like, because it's pushed into November. For me, take your time to polish it. It's a big game. I'd rather not you have, too large of a day one update for fixing a whole bunch of things. And then I'll be working a lot during October.
Right.
So the game would come out and I would basically not be able to play it because I'd go to work. So that'll
Right.
also be more after that. And then this essentially decides we don't have to start playing the game on current gen and then play it on the next gen, which would be
Exactly.
kind of neat to see the improvements, I guess, but we can just straight up start on the next gen. It'll
Yes.
basically essentially be a launch title, and
Yep.
so that'll be cool.
Yes. Yeah, it'll be a launch title. Although, I mean, obviously, if anybody, just couldn't quite make the leap, it'll be
Yep.
available on these old ones and then have an update,
Yep.
right away when the new system is released. So that's nice,
Yep. Yep.
covering all their bases.
Hmm. And look, a lot of people don't upgrade right away. There's
Hmm.
some people wait for the slim version of something to come
Right.
out, or wait for a sale or a bundle, and sounds like this holiday might be a struggle to get a PS5. I mean, that was
Hmm.
the early talk was might be tough to come upon. So
Right.
yeah. Well, on that very topic with
Hmm.
Cyberpunk and stuff, we finally had the big event this week. Their first
Yes.
Night City Wire. Did you get to
Yes.
check it out?
I did. I saw all of it.
Nice.
Kind of the event itself, and then Jeff Keighley's gameplay and his first thoughts around, the
Hmm.
release and being able to play the game. So yeah, pretty sweet. My very first impression um was, this world that they've built here in Night City is so similar to Altered Carbon, like the neons
Hmm.
and the way that they were like juxtaposed against like these deep blacks, blues, and purples, just like the impressions that I was getting right away in the trailer were very similar. And
Hmm.
then as it moved into, like the different elements of the game that you could explore, it kind of moved away from that. Um,
Yep.
but I liked that initial kind of darker juxtaposition of the game.
Yeah. I hope there's enough. I do hope there's enough darkness. Clearly it's dark content wise, but
Yeah.
when I think Cyberpunk, I immediately go to Blade Runner, which
Mhm.
is dark the entire time. It's just
Yes.
rain. It's nighttime. It's
Yep.
just that dark, grungy kind of thing.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I look forward to those moments. I definitely some of the clubs there. Yeah,
Mhm.
darkness with the pulsating neon. It feels right. It feels very alive.
Yes.
Um, so I'm pumped.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
Can you-
Oh, I was just gonna say
oh, go ahead.
that the stranger part of the trailer was definitely like the driving elements out of the city, where you kind of
Mm-hmm.
go along the highway and then you're like in this sort of like
Mm-hmm.
eh, less
It's a Mad Max world.
cyberpunky. Yeah, exactly. Thank you. That's exactly what I was thinking. Like this very like post-apocalyptic, like Mad Max,
Hmm.
desert sands kind of thing. Yeah, I mean, it looks cool, but I don't know, it doesn't quite seem to fit with the
Hmm.
trailer. Could just be because we haven't seen much of the game itself. I mean, I know that the preview that we're getting is all like early in the game.
Yep.
Or most of the storyline they showed was early in the game, and then they just sort of jump cut to like, oh, also you can go outside the city and drive along the highways and stuff like that. So it's like, okay, well, maybe this is going to make more sense when we get the fuller story and not just like the beginnings of the game.
Well, early on, I know that people were talking about how that sort of thing is in the tabletop game, and so
Mhm.
everybody was wondering, are we going to get to see outside of Night City?
Sure.
And what will the scale of the game be? How big will Night City be? Is it just Night City? Can we wander beyond its walls? And
Right.
this at least suggests to some extent.
Mhm.
And it seems like one of the storyline paths you choose starts you dealing with stuff out there earlier,
Mhm.
the nomad line of things, I think. So,
Right. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, obviously, you don't think Cyberpunk when you think Mad Max, but those exist within the same kind of idea a little bit,
Yeah.
Um, so, but one out in the vast emptiness and one in the claustrophobic city. So,
Right.
but I'm good. I'm happy. It seems large. It seems like you're going to have a lot of opportunity to roam around.
Mhm.
Um, you think of a lot of open world games, and they're open worlds. They're outdoors. Something like Breath of the Wild is a lot of open space, and I love
Mhm.
that about it. But it's so there's a reasonable concern, like if you're in this city where everything needs to be dense, you need to be able to interact with everything. Everywhere you go, you can go into restaurants, you get lots of people all over the place you can deal with and see what they want to do and side quests with them and stuff. That's a lot, and obviously a lot more difficult to have a large world like that it demands to be so dense
Mhm.
versus having, I
Yep.
mean, you look at the game Ashley's playing with, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and the map is gigantic,
Mhm.
but there's a lot of space in between the settlements,
Right.
and so if you have to fill everything with a skyscraper and an apartment complex and a club and everything, it's a lot.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Um I was just going to say like the other kind of fun thing I thought from that, release was we kind of got to tease a little bit out of some of the characters in Night City, not only that, you interact with, but that you can play as. Um and then we also got a little Keanu teaser as well.
Yep. Just again, so you don't
Just
forget.
exactly, right? Just that little like, "Hey, remember who we have here? Like he's still here." But yeah, almost nothing about, what he's actually doing there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Well, I liked what Jeff Keighley said, is how he has, for him, it was an idea of giving you the scope of the game or the length of the story and all that,
yeah.
where he got to play 4 hours from
Mhm.
the start and had not run into Keanu Reeves' character at that point.
Yep.
Yet Keanu Reeves' character is supposed to have the second most lines of dialogue in the game. So it's just, you could be 4 hours in, not meet one of the most primary characters of your game.
Right.
Uh, so, yeah.
Yeah, it seems at that point that wouldn't be as a result of, get Jeff Keighley's choice of character to play either. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, like, you get three different choices to start off with, um, who you can be, but I can't imagine that even, picking one storyline over another, you wouldn't have met Keanu Reeves's character 4 hours in, no matter who
Yeah.
you
No
picked.
one. Yeah. I looked at the other paths, other people that played, and
Okay.
No mention of anyone else meeting him to that point.
Okay.
Um, and it seems like after a generalized, uh, like different intro, the lines kind of merge, you
Okay.
know? So the paths within that 4 hours, basically your path is kind of merged. Now, obviously, you've interacted with people differently and different people now. So who
Right.
knows what the repercussions end up being from that
Right.
later. But they use the unique story part of to kind of give you your introduction of the controls and the gameplay,
Mm-hmm.
and then move you on to the sort of a mainline thing.
Right.
So, but I saw some people say, like one guy, he's from GameSpot. He said, I tried my best to not do any of the main story stuff. I just always went off someplace else. I just looked at everything and studied every corner and all that
Okay.
stuff. So
What was the
getting
verdict
some,
from that?
I mean, yeah, he just was impressed with the level of detail.
Sure.
What it'll be interesting. I know people would mention with Red Dead Redemption 2 how they would follow NPCs throughout the
Mm-hmm.
map and just see like their full day cycle kind of thing. It's the loop that Dolores is sent on. It's all
Right.
they all have their story and stuff and their daily tasks. And it'll be interesting to see how, if they've upped it another level, or how detailed everybody's path is. Like if you
Right.
can just chill with someone that's hanging out, and if they're gonna hang out for a bit, and then they're gonna go get some groceries, and then they're gonna go back to their apartment, and then they're gonna leave back at night again, and you're like, what? How detailed, and for everyone. So I think that's
Yeah.
always fun to see our evolution of that.
Definitely.
So, but yeah, no, I was impressed. Jeff Keighley brought up, all the just how people seem to sit in the world and feel very natural, feel like
Mm-hmm.
they belong, feel like they really respond to you and what you do and choose. It's a lot of games you can go through it, and no matter what you sort of say or do, it doesn't seem like it really affects them all that much,
Right.
ultimately. So, yeah. What do you think of the brain dance stuff? That
That
was
was
one of
pretty
their big
sweet.
features that they revealed, was
Yes.
how a new future idea of recording your memories and experiences that other people then would then be able to live through as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it sort of feels it feels like a in a way a very familiar element of cyberpunk slash sci-fi. It
Hmm.
kind of makes me think of like Minority Report, where you can except for
Yeah.
obviously these are people that you can like see the visions through, but it's the same kind of idea.
Yep.
Um, or it's got like elements of Altered Carbon where you can like spin a stack up and like be in their memories and things like that. So yeah, I mean, I thought it was pretty cool. It definitely seemed not like a far-fetched sort of element.
Mhm.
And it was a cool way to introduce different viewpoints you could have of a storyline, and then how those might be necessary for you to move forward depending on like a certain element of a scene that you need to not only see as you, but then you need to like go into stop, rewind, get a different
Mm.
angle to see the face of who was ever perpetrating an action. Yeah,
Yep.
I thought that was really cool.
Do you
Very futuristic
side
detective.
yeah, side note, do you feel that Minority Report would be considered a cyberpunk genre film?
uh Adjacent. I
Okay.
mean, it's not the biggest stretch in the world, I think.
Hmm.
Um, but not true cyberpunk, no.
I
So that's
mean,
why I say like
cyberpunk,
cyberpunk sci-fi. It's just kind of like straddling both those categories, I feel like.
I'm excited for our cyberpunk episode, and maybe
Yes.
that could be one of the things for it. Like we got to come up with a list of the films we need to include, and
Yeah.
and
Kind of define
break
it.
down. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yes. Do you see that being the brain dance kind of thing? Do you see that being I think that's the future of entertainment?
Brain
The
dancing?
future. Yeah.
Just make it into a verb there. Um, do you mean like movies,
No,
TV, or
in real world, like any sort
yeah,
of
yeah,
entertainment experience, um,
like
like they talk
living
about
within
how
it?
it's like largely used for porn, but other people would, you
Yep.
can all kinds of experiences.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's not far-fetched to think that that's the future. I mean, we're already making sort of like baby steps towards that. We're tiptoeing towards that kind of thing where, if you just think about like VR, obviously, that's like sort of like inserting yourself into a world and like trying to sort of have a physical experience while you're, being entertained. Like you physically walk while you do things in VR. Um, or, you can like reach out and turn, you know. So you're already like having like a physical um
Interaction in some way. Yeah.
exactly, yeah. Or you think about like video games, even just like the idea that your controller vibrates, like when you're being hit with a bullet, or like the kind of new technology that we're talking about with the PS5, where you are knocking and drawing an arrow in a bowstring, and you move the controller and you feel that tautness. I mean, we're already making baby steps to sort of trying to pair what our brains are seeing on our screen with our physical feeling in our body. So, yeah.
I know there's lots of tests with, or experimental things. Yeah, Alan brings up haptics as the sense. Like, there's people that
Yeah.
are making vests that you strap on, and so they basically like punch you for bullet wounds and stuff, or
Yeah.
things that would give you the sensation of burning and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
I think all of that will be futile and obsoleted if we end up just having what ends up becoming more like this. If it becomes more of a Elon Musk neural link kind of thing,
Mhm.
then it would be literally an interface that will just send the appropriate signals to your brain.
Sure.
So
Yeah, I
then
mean, I think that technology could quickly become obsolete, but I think it's the stepping stone between. Do you know
Mhm.
what I mean? Like, I don't know that anybody is quite here. Like, theoretically, inside a game, sure, yeah, you could do something like brain dance.
Mhm.
But physical reality, I'm not sure that we could get there without like the middle stepping stone.
Well, and the interesting thing, and at least the way I understood too with this, was that it wasn't like just recording your sort of memories or experience. It was like this
Mhm.
modification was using any recording or connected apparatus
Right.
around you to like
Right.
create this giant mesh of a thing. It's kind of like a
Right.
different version of in The Dark Knight, I think, we're using everybody's cell phones to create basically a grid or an image of the world around.
Yeah, like
And
sonar, yeah.
yeah, and so we'll be using the security footage, and maybe even implants that other people have, and
Mhm.
we keep adding more sensors to our phones and all this stuff. Like, you can get a
Yeah.
pretty detailed view of an environment if you add them all together. So, but
Yeah.
that's neat. Um, the other big thing that stood out to me that probably most excited for from this was the Cyberpunk Edge Runners
Yeah.
anime.
Yeah.
Uh, I didn't see that coming. I didn't know anything about it. I'm a
Mhm.
little surprised it's coming out in 2022. Because I said
Mhm.
they've been working on it for a while,
Mhm.
but it's going to come to Netflix, and it's by Studio Trigger. We've talked about them before. People that made Promare and Kill la Kill and
Mhm.
stuff. So um, I'm pumped.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I couldn't help again, but to bring this up, I couldn't help but be reminded, of course, of Altered Carbon, since they
Mm,
came out with their
yeah.
own anime from the show, and then was tied into the storyline, but completely separate at the same time. So it sounded like the same sort of basic
Yep.
concept, except obviously this is a game rather than a TV show. So
Yep.
So I hope it's, I mean, as good, if not better, because I already thought that anime of Altered Carbon was pretty great. So have a
Nice.
lot of trust in Netflix to do that sort of thing and invest in the right people to pull that off.
Yeah. I mean, I'm very excited to see Trigger doing Cyberpunk anything.
Mm-hmm.
Um, everything else they've done has been kind of more mech related or something like that, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I I'm very excited. I wonder how, so it's setting the date of 2022, which is
Mm-hmm.
kind of interesting. It's, it's really 2 years, potentially a year and a half from the release of the game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering um if they have like a kind of stagnated thing they're intending to do with this, like
Oh,
release the
sure.
game in November now, then maybe in 6 months they do, I think they were talking about online
Yep.
mode, and then another 6 months, maybe there's a DLC
Mm-hmm.
pack, and then another 6 months and you've got the anime,
Yeah.
and and then what's something like, obviously, if they can't count on it, but if it had the success of something like Witcher 3
Mm-hmm.
that's many years old and still seeing success,
Mm-hmm.
um I mean, that would be cool to be extending this one game's life for that long,
Yeah.
working with Netflix again as they did on Witcher.
Right.
It's yeah,
Yeah. A lot of
getting
return
set up.
value on this one product, that you're kind of like revisiting. Yeah, it'd be a
Seems like
smart
they've
long
got it
game to
for,
play.
yeah, yeah. Seems like they have a plan.
Mm-hmm.
Hollywood. Um, yeah. Well, anything else that stood out to you or that got you excited, or
No, I don't think so. Just
confirmation of customizing genitalia?
was that in there?
Well, that's what Jeff Keighley said. He said the character creation is very detailed and the genitalia stuff is all true and you can do whatever you want.
Oh my
Said I didn't
god.
spend much
I must
time
have
in it.
missed that.
Yeah. He said he didn't spend much time in it because he wanted to get to the game and play. I'm like,
Liar.
yeah, sure. Yep.
Liar.
Hour and a half later,
Yeah,
oh,
right.
Jeff, you should get out of the character creation part. Come on now. Like,
Go
I
explore the
mean,
world,
just
Jeff.
give
God.
yourself a big wang. You know that is what you want to do. So move on. I won't judge you for it.
Yeah,
So.
definitely somebody who brings it up. Definitely spent some time in there.
uh, well, speaking of big wangs, as in like losers, Hollywood. We're move on to Hollywood from gaming.
Yes,
Michael Keaton, though I think he's pretty cool.
I do too.
Is rumored to be coming back in talks to return as Batman or Bruce
Yes.
Wayne.
Yes.
In the Flash movie.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
What do you think of this? What are your thoughts?
I'm pumped about it. I definitely know Chris is pumped about it because I told him about it and there were some squeeze of joy. Very 8-year-old girl reminiscent. So he was
Wow.
very excited.
Interesting.
Because for him, like that is Batman. Like Michael Keaton is Batman for him, and those, his movies are what Batman is about. I'm pumped about it. I've only recently seen fully through both Keaton movies.
Okay.
I had seen the original Batman and then I hadn't seen Returns all the way through.
Okay.
So
it's maybe my favorite.
Batman Returns?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's tough. The first one's great for Jack Nicholson and Prince. The Batman Returns to me is just the vibe is right. During Christmas is right. The Catwoman is Selena Kyle in there, Michelle Pfeiffer. That's just perfect to me. Absolutely perfect.
I agree.
Having some Walken in there, Christopher Walken. It's just if I could do an imitation, Alan can do a better imitation of Chris Walken. I can't, so I won't try. But and then Batman Forever I still love too.
I was gonna say that's my Batman.
It's tough, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's sad to see because I would be very excited about this. I just don't know that I have confidence in present day DC to do it justice, to do it right.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, maybe it's a continuation of a good thing where we got, you know, Wonder Woman and Aquaman, and maybe another good Wonder Woman, and if we get a few good TV shows, maybe we're on the good path here. But
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's tricky. Yeah, DC is quite unreliable at this stage. So, like you said, it's hard to know whether they're going to do this justice. I am tentatively excited, um, especially if this goes well. Keaton's also in talks to potentially be in Batgirl as well. If this goes through, he's in talks to do that as well. Not necessarily that he would be Batman, like you said earlier, but that he would be Bruce Wayne and be sort of like a mentor figure, which for me is pretty nostalgic because one of my favorite cartoons as a kid was Batman Beyond, which is like the next generation of Batman. Yep. And then, like, Bruce Wayne is, God, I want to say, and he's like in his 60s or 70s or something. And he's like this new kid's mentor. I don't know why I liked it. I just did.
No, not why you liked it. It's great. That's why it's a great show. To this day, watch it and it's great.
I do. I love it. And I mean, I get it. It's not like classic Batman. It's not, like centered around, what we think of as Batman, but I liked it. Yeah. I thought it was like one of those, follow-up / sequel kind of things that did it justice. So
it absolutely did. And I desperately hope he does not show up in Batgirl. They need to, if they're going to do that, then they need to go whole hog and connect. Like, because right now there's no connecting tissue between the television shows and the movies.
Yes, I agree.
They are not one and the same in any way. They're in a different world. There's the Arrowverse, basically, as it's commonly referred to on television, and then there's the cinematic DCEU.
Yes.
So you don't put him in there as a like just quick attention grab thing. That would be wrong, because I think they put Ian Glenn was Bruce in the Titans television show. So that's not a CW, that's on the DC streaming service.
Right.
So
right. Okay.
So you can't just start doing this mishmash thing. The idea of bringing Michael Keaton's Bruce Wayne into the Flash movie is it would be the Flashpoint story from the comics that is bringing in different universe, basically. It's like splitting. I've only read parts. It's a very big event. I've only read parts of it, but yeah, it's, I guess, in the comics originally dealing with Bruce Wayne's dad. Yes. So the Flash is teaming up with Thomas Wayne, which is, I'm personally okay with if they change that to be this version of Bruce Wayne. But yeah, you just can't haphazardly start putting them in different things here.
Yeah. I mean, I know, speaking of, Flashpoint and Thomas Wayne being Batman, in that verse, I know that that's their backup plan, is to have Jeffrey Dean Morgan be Thomas Wayne as he was, I think, in Batman versus Superman, Dawn of Justice.
Yeah, I don't know.
I haven't seen that movie. That's my understanding of that's what he was in.
Yeah.
But so I know that that's their backup plan, and Jeffrey Dean Morgan has expressed interest in, carrying that on. So we'll see. I mean, Michael Keaton is still in talks, so it's not a done lockdown kind of deal. And even if he is in the Flash, there's no guarantee that, like I said, he would be in Batgirl. I know he's in talks to do that too. So
yeah,
all very up in the air.
Bring him in, see what he's interested in doing. What can we make work? What are we? Yeah, for sure. I hope that Michael Keaton really, cares about that role and wouldn't sign up for something that wouldn't do it justice. I think like you talk with Batman Beyond, that would be a much better idea.
I
If
agree.
Warner Brothers DC went and made Batman Beyond series, make a trilogy,
Yeah.
way better idea.
I think
Michael
he'd be
Keaton come in
perfect.
there, it would be absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
And it could be, you could have little nods to the previous Tim Burton movies and stuff or whatever, without being necessarily stating directly that it's connected. And yeah, that would be fantastic. And it would have nothing to do with any of the other stuff. They have like a clean slate, basically,
Yeah, I feel like Batman, especially right now. I mean, I know the DCU is kind of muddled, but I feel like Batman especially
Yes.
and is just like all over the place with like who is where, what timeline are we in, which Batman is playing Batman, what, are we in like some sort of reboot? Are we connecting all the Batmans? Are we not connecting all the Batmans or pretending like they're totally fresh starts?
Yep.
I have a lot of trouble with Batman right now,
This is what
especially.
blind greed gets you.
Very
Like,
true. Very true.
just like pump out another Batman movie, make another Batman movie, put Batman to the screen. We're losing money, not, missed opportunity without, earning it. Like,
Right.
figure something out.
Right.
Put your foot down and plan something out. And
Yeah,
I
I
was saying
mean,
beforehand, I needed a podcast just to rant about tech things. And now it's like most podcasts are just ranting. And it's like, here I go. Yes, I can't not rant about DC and their mismanagement here. But
yeah, I mean, I feel like DC especially suffers in comparison to Marvel, of course, because we've experienced, the long game that they've been playing and the extensive planning that they've done. So it does seem to make, DC seem even worse. Like, I mean, they could have sort of maybe skated by if Marvel suffered some of the same mishaps
yes,
and we could be like a little more forgiving, but because Marvel didn't, um yeah, it does seem worse by comparison. But I unfortunately think it's a larger problem, especially with Hollywood wanting to reboot franchises so quickly. It just muddles everything. And, once you try to like go too far and, make too many different movies that are sort of interrelated and, you want to tag them with like the recognizable franchise, but they don't quite fit in or they're not well done, then you're just making a terrible product that people get less and less enthusiastic about seeing.
yeah,
And I added something to our news this week about that ties in with this perfectly. Disney
yeah.
is making Pirates of the Caribbean 6. They've gotten the green light to go ahead and make a sixth film, and they're trying now to choose between a continuation of the current series that would maybe see Johnny Depp return, not necessarily as the lead, but he'd be in there somehow and it would fit in, like the timeline they've built. Or if they're going to completely break, put it under the same, like, tagline of Pirates of the Caribbean, but they're going to like reboot the entire story, ignore, Will Turner, Elizabeth Swann, Jack Sparrow, and go a totally different direction with a Margot Robbie helmed film with the writer for Birds of Prey. So
Yeah, that's the late breaking news for sure.
that's a big old mess right there.
Yeah,
I have
and
no idea how Disney is like going to choose, but yeah.
yeah, I like your commentary there about rebooting
Yeah.
or whatever, and if that's worth what we think of that, and it's a good idea. I hate that kind of talk. Like you say, immediate reboots and stuff. You're just talking before about Marvel paying off for playing the long game. And the long game always pays off.
It does.
It's that instant gratification that ultimately doesn't get you far. I mean, this can be extrapolated over almost any element of life, but in storytelling and in business as well. And yeah, they should leave this. I know, like Harry Potter. A few years ago, they were talking, it's time to reboot Harry Potter. Are
Yes.
you kidding me? It
I'm
just
so
finished.
glad that didn't happen. I mean, my
if you,
God.
yeah. So then they continue with Fantastic Beasts. Well, I don't know if that's so much better, but just
At least it's not
it's
like ruining and putting a sour taste in your mouth about the
yes,
original Harry Potter series.
right. It's just nuts. It just shows that I sound like um well, I don't want to bring politics into it, but I sound like someone that I'm just always complaining about like corporate greed or something like that.
Sure.
It's just that the wrong people sometimes making the decisions. It
I
seems
agree.
like I'm not an industry insider, I
Mhm.
don't know. It seems like people that don't have a creative bone in their body
Mhm.
decide where these creative endeavors move.
Right.
And so it's just really frustrating. Yeah, like you brought up Spider-Man.
Mhm.
That's why I was not excited for Spider-Man with Tom Holland at first,
Mhm.
because I don't need to see this rebooted again. It's getting
Exactly.
ridiculous. Now,
Exactly.
they did a good job. It worked out.
Right.
But look, it was Marvel that did it. If it was Fox doing another one, it'd probably be garbage.
Mhm.
So, or
Well,
Sony, sorry.
think of, even when it first came out, how many people were not excited about it.
Mhm.
And because we'd already had these several, like, we're going to redo Spider-Man, we're going to redo Spider-Man. And like people get exhausted, and that affects your bottom line when people aren't, going to the theater to see it. And it's like, sure, it worked out and it had great word of mouth and people, supported it, and now it's a great thing. But I mean, initially, had that not happened, you know, ticket sales would have suffered, like, there would have been a loss on production and cost, and it's like, then we don't get this, like, great product because people are like, "Oh, I really don't wanna go see another Spider-Man." Because I
Yep.
didn't. I didn't see it in the theaters, like, I wasn't excited about it at all.
Right.
And now, like, I've gone back and watched Spider-Man,
Yeah,
but, I mean,
exactly.
you know
Same. I didn't see it in the theater either. I
Yeah,
think the only Spider-Man I didn't see in the theater was that one, because it
yeah,
just was. It's enough now. Too bad. I don't
right,
need to see Uncle
exactly.
Ben die again or something.
Exactly, exactly. Because 'cause we're not even, like, doing any sort of variation on the story, you know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
it's just like
Yep.
we're literally rebooting, doing
Yep.
another origin, and
Yep.
I've already seen this movie.
Like I didn't really want to see necessarily. I didn't like the idea of another Joker movie right away after we just seen Jared Leto's thing, but at
Yes,
least it was very different. Like there
yes,
were polar opposite versions of the character.
agreed.
So yeah, I think that the stuff drives me nuts. You brought up Fantastic Four. Fantastic Four is the perfect example. Is that
Mhm,
literally the perfect example? Because the only reason they're doing that is because every time they come up with some half-cocked idea that they make and it fails, they have, I think, if they don't, I forget what the year amount is, but if they don't put to screen another film within a certain amount of time, the rights to the making the movie revert back to Marvel. And so
mhm,
it's just always, you got to put something out. You just
yeah,
got to make something. It has to happen. So there it is. That's a perfect example, and it applies all over the board, just less less forcibly than
right,
that, because you can understand their concern for what they deem an important entity. But something like Amazon's The Boys should give you an idea that, or Doom Patrol now, like there's a lot of
right,
other content, creative things out there that you don't need to sit on and keep messing up some other property, because
mhm,
there's other things out there, tons of artists and small time comic book writers and stuff that will be ready and willing to sell you their story. So
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know that it's easy to want to do the safe option. I know it's easy to think like, Marvel has a formula. They didn't mess with that formula and they had tons of success. But they spent a long time developing a formula. They did take chances in um, doing variations on that formula, and they just didn't apply it in the same way all the time. They had a formula that was so generic that it was able to be molded into creativity. Do you know what I mean? Like like the formula wasn't about like, here are the notes we have to hit in a story. It was the formula of how do we balance like the superhero element, the seriousness, the comedic relief,
Mhm.
how do we balance like the characters that appear on screen, and then how do we work in that we're in a larger universe.
Yep.
So I don't necessarily think that they did like a safe thing in having a formulaic story, but I
Mhm.
feel like other franchises are trying to make safe choices without having this like solid base, this base layer that's successful
Mhm.
and that they've thought about. So,
Yep. Well, I mean, if you make something and it fails, then instantly you think, well, are we going to do we do the next thing or are we going to
mhm,
start over again? So I
right.
understand that you put something out, doesn't do well, not well received. Well, there goes whatever plans we did have.
Yep.
Um, but again, it comes down to one of those things, maybe like if you believe in it and you've got, you go again, you just, I don't know,
Mhm.
put your faith in someone and let it happen.
Right. Yeah,
But
see it through rather than just like, "Oh, didn't work, reboot."
yeah, yep. Um, I'll get back to the pirates thing quickly here in a moment, but it just reminded me. Have you heard what I think are outlandish rumors about not a reboot, but in essence, reboot to the latest Star Wars trilogy? Have you heard
What?
those making the rounds? So
No, this is brand new
so
information that I am highly
so
disappointed in.
so well, um, here's the gist of it. In Star Wars Rebels, Dave Filoni introduced um, a basically a system in which you can interact with all of time and space.
Okay.
Um, I forget what it's called. It's called the Void or the something like that. I can't remember what it's called. But
Okay.
basically, in the show, spoilers for minor spoilers for Star Wars Rebels, I guess. If you the main character Ezra finds this ancient Jedi like entrance portal and like solves the thing, goes in, and is able to um, hear different parts. Like you can hear voices from throughout the Star Wars timeline in all different
Okay.
places. You might hear Luke, you hear Vader, like all different areas, and then he in one of them literally is able to see in like one of these pathways. Again, spoilers for Star Wars Rebels. It sees Ahsoka Tano, and she's about to like be blown up or whatever. She's fighting Darth Vader, and he
Okay.
pulls her out into this, like pulls her out of that reality and into this void,
Okay.
essentially saving her and bringing her into his world. And so Palpatine sees this and kind of like tries to get the two of them, and they run out and escape and stuff. So the idea is using this mechanic to wipe out the things that happened in 7, 8, 9. So it would essentially be there was some
Like all of it
kind
or
of
just
basically rendering that trilogy as being relabeled as Legends, as the Star Wars other old books are.
okay.
So that would be
Okay.
considered Star Wars Legends. So it'd be a separate timeline or reality, and that they can kind of start fresh. So what it would be is the idea for them is that Palpatine had this mirror room that he could use to see what was going to happen, what has happened, and it would explain kind of how he was able to cloud the judgment of the Jedi Council and like do some other things throughout the years,
Okay.
like beyond his normal power. And when
Sure.
he falls down the chute, Vader throws him over the edge. He pulls his soul out and throws it into the void, like his spirit. He puts it in the void so he can exist there or
Okay.
whatever. And I'm forgetting the rest of the details, but they're using this multiple anytime, any world thing to make it where Palpatine essentially would actually die. So none of the other stuff would be happening because Palpatine can't come back. He's actually dead in the timeline that they would continue on.
Okay.
So like that would be unsuccessful or something.
Sure.
I don't know where this started, if it's completely made up. It's been seeing it all over. People saying they have inside information from
Sure.
Lucasfilm, all this stuff. Someone else even that like doesn't follow them all that much brought up, hey, did you hear about the rumored
Okay.
whatever? And I hadn't at that point. And so though I would be excited at the idea of starting over, I don't see any possible way they could do this without massively confusing their audience.
Agreed.
Like that's what it comes down to. Like how you would effectively explain that,
right.
no one would understand.
Yeah, I mean, I also would be eager to write over the story of the last 3 movies. I mean, let's be real, like in my view that they were not successful. They were deeply disappointing, to a Star Wars fan. There were a lot of problems with both the storytelling and the mechanics of filmmaking. But I agree. I see several problems here. First, for the less deeply entrenched, viewer or fan, you're going to confuse the hell out of them.
Yep.
Second, I mean, just like the explanation that you ran through, my mind followed, but it's a lot to, sort of if this, then that, and then we could, and you know what I mean? It's a lot of hoop jumping mechanics to make it to where we could get to an alternate storyline, which is like the real storyline. Do you know what I mean? So there's a lot you would have to like have your audience come with you on, and that you'd have to do very carefully and well for you not to just be like, oh, well, this is just like super convenient mechanism to erase, the storyline. So that would be really tough. The third thing would be, I would be for this again. Like, I'm not protesting erasing the last 3 movies at all, but depending on how soon it would be, I would be very tired. Do you know what I mean? Like, it would be too soon. Like, I'm for it maybe in another couple years where I could get excited again, but yeah, don't do it too soon because I'm already like still healing from this last Star Wars disappointment. And I don't want another one too soon.
Well, I mean, obviously it would definitely be a ways off. And if they were going to do it, I think it would do it through The Mandalorian. I think it seems to me that The Mandalorian is shaping up to be not only like the one big Star Wars thing other than the game that people have really enjoyed, like unanimously, basically, in the Star Wars universe, but that it seems like it's going to really expand beyond what you'd think the initial scope of the project is. You think initially that it's bounty hunters, sort of a spaghetti western type of thing, but now we're adding in more and more lore and other characters. It feels like it's really going to grow, and they could really use this as a vehicle to move the universe forward.
Absolutely.
So they could introduce and explain this stuff and take time in doing it.
Yes.
Like they could literally go through the stages of like messing with the timeline, because it fits within that as well, like that space, just after Return of the Jedi kind of thing. So it could be done. I think it's just wishful thinking.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's Mandalorian runs into some issues where how long do they want to go with it, because they eventually have to get to where you have the new trilogy, and how do you interact with that at all, or do you just stop at that point? Maybe they have a plan for this. It's like, we're going to do 3 seasons and this is our end point and this is what's going to happen.
Right.
But I mean, in a fanboy's mind, I could totally see them, this is Dave Filoni, part of his project, and I could totally see him introducing Ahsoka Tano and Ezra Bridger back
Mm-hmm.
into the world to Force sensitives and really having them mess up things and the journey moving forward with them.
Sure.
It would be fascinating and much more in a direction that I would have appreciated Star Wars to take, even though it's vastly different from what had been set up previously in the world. So,
Right.
yeah. Anyway, sorry for this.
No,
It's
no.
super ramble. I just, I don't
No, it's
know.
definitely relevant to our, kind of reboot, good, bad.
Hmm.
When does it hit the right note? When is it too soon? What's just wishful thinking?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yep.
mean, it's definitely tricky. I get that, it's easy to see on the outside when is too soon, and it's easy to see, when something isn't working on the outside. But yeah, I get that, like, on the inside, sometimes that can be tougher, but I still feel like, there's some common sense decisions that, studios need to make.
Mhm. Well, think
Um,
of the pressure then. I mean, so say you make a poor Fantastic Four movie and people don't like it. Well,
again.
or they make two of them. Yeah. And then let's try again kind of thing. Or even, you make one Spider-Man movie, then you make a second Spider-Man movie, and then you make a third one and people are like, "Oh, what happened there?" And okay, we'll
Mhm.
start over. Um, but something like what Marvel has going now or Star Wars, you don't just get to start over because there's so
Yep.
much content. Like for Marvel, that's why I'm really skeptical of what's coming with them because y your luck runs out at some point, or you
Yeah.
start getting overconfident, or something. You
Mhm.
clearly, I'm sure they've gone now beyond the point that they have initially planned, so they've
Right.
had to be like expanding at some point. So if you do a movie that is catastrophically bad and covers the main line story, you're in trouble, you know.
Absolutely.
And that's the most disappointing thing with Star Wars. It's not like an offshoot got messed up. Oh,
Yes.
this side one that like basically like a superhero origin
Right.
story. That
Right.
one got messed up. Don't worry about it. It's not such a big deal. It's the mainline thing.
I
You
agree.
can't you that changes the rules of the universe that you're in and the whole progression of
Yep.
everything. The weight on those things is so intense. You mess that up, everything else crumbles.
Yep.
So
Yeah, I
it's
agree. I mean, obviously for Star Wars, I think it's the most catastrophic because Skywalker Saga has been, the like you said, the main story. It's the most beloved. It's the most mainstream. It's, the biggest cultural touchstone in like the Star Wars universe for the broadest audience.
yeah.
Not necessarily for, like the average Star Wars, fan, but for the broadest audience. Marvel, I see having 2 kind of breaks here in the pressure that they have to continue forward. It's obviously immense pressure because the MCU has been so successful, but I see that they have a little bit of a break in the fact that they are branching out superhero wise. So they've already
Mhm.
covered like the most widely known superheroes and been successful. Now they're sort of branching out into, secondary tier that they've introduced us to. So if they fumble it, people might be willing to be a little more forgiving because they haven't messed up, their most beloved character. They mess up, um, you know, a next tier, and somebody says like, "Oh, it's okay. Like, I didn't love that, but I still have faith that, MCU, based on all these movies and all the things that I've loved about them, can move forward."
Yes.
They've also gotten a break, I think. It's hard to say it, but with production delays due to COVID-19.
Sure.
I mean, they spent so long setting up phase 1. And now, they've moved into phase, or they were moving into phase 2 with less planning time. And now they're sort of being forced to take more planning time because they haven't been able to get into production on
Yeah.
some of these movies. So it could be that, in them being forced to take this time, they could make several smart moves in planning for phase 2 now that maybe they didn't have the luxury of making before because they felt pressured to get more movies out.
Yep. Mhm.
So,
Yeah, that's true. It's possible.
not guaranteeing that, they're going to make all the same, smart decisions and, have the same successes. Absolutely. I think, the other shoe has to drop at some point. You're going to just make a bad movie. It's just,
Yep.
you know, I don't know, law of
You know,
averages or something. But
yeah. I mean,
but
Iron Man 3 wasn't
yeah,
regarded as super great, but it didn't affect the overall thing, you
exactly. It
know?
wasn't
Right.
great, but it wasn't like the worst flop you'd ever seen. So, they kind of fumbled it a little bit, but they recovered, especially because Iron Man was so integral in, you know, the Avengers movies,
Mhm.
and his storyline continued there in such a satisfying way that it was like, yeah, we can get past this. It's okay.
And even the importance of having the general storyline that be effective. Like,
Yes.
again, what happens in Iron Man 3 is largely not that big of a deal. Even
Mhm.
Avengers 2 wasn't that as well received. That was a lower,
Mhm.
less popular movie compared to the other ones. But people weren't like, well, man, they sure messed up the universe with that one. They just weren't happy necessarily with some of the execution, the way the story flowed, and some of the, stuff like that.
Right.
So there's definitely differences there and things you can mess up on. And you bring up a good point where they're clearly a phase. So they did their sort of end cap now.
Right.
So they kind of are in essence doing almost a soft reboot anyways.
Exactly.
So we're kind of getting a new beginning now. Yes, it's continuing, but yeah, that takes a little bit of pressure off because that doesn't negate the first 10 years of movies. You know,
Exactly.
those are still there and exist and can stand. So, um, what happens? What do you think they do if they really bomb the mainline stuff? What?
You
I
mean like if
mean,
Black Widow and the next like Guardians and the next Black Panther kind of all fumble the
see,
ball
but maybe it
there?
doesn't matter because none of those are really mainline things necessarily. Like, what's the next Avengers?
Yeah.
Or what movie contains the thing that really moves the universe forward
Yeah.
versus more of a standalone thing.
Yeah.
Black Widow seems like it's going to be a more of a personal story related to Black Widow and the
True.
assassins and stuff that she's dealt with and all that. And if
True.
that movie is terrible, it has no bearing really on the main through line of the rest of the films.
True. Yeah, I guess it's harder to see because we don't know exactly what the main through line will be, you
Hmm.
know? Especially because
Right.
when you think of like the next generation of Avengers that kind of, crops up at the end of Endgame, they're moving forward. They're all kind of getting their own things happening, you know? Like they're not necessarily getting movies. Like I think of, Scarlet Witch and Vision. They're getting WandaVision on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Are they also is that gonna be meaningful for their storyline? Are they gonna be in the movies? Are they gonna, like, be in a
Right.
second, kind of Avengers iteration through line or no? You know,
Yeah.
that part isn't quite clear to me yet. Um, though, I mean, it wasn't necessarily clear when Marvel started all of their, phase 1
Yeah. Right.
storytelling. So, yeah, we'll kind of have to wait and see. I do agree with you though, obviously about Black Widow. Like that's
Mhm.
she's probably, like the easiest for the characters that we know that they're initially focusing on in the next phase. She's like the easiest, transitional character to be like, "Oh, I remember her from phase 1 and
Yep.
now she can have her standalone movie kick off the next phase but not necessarily be integral to it."
Yep.
So,
I don't know if I'm hoping more that they bring in Fantastic Four. FFs. There's two FFs, and when I think FF, it's normally Final Fantasy. So, but Fantastic Four,
yeah.
I or mutants.
Yeah.
It
Mhm.
seems like maybe they're going towards the eternal element thing. So they're going to be keeping with the space thing, and then
Yes.
Guardians will be important and stuff.
Right.
Um, what's the name? he'd be a big bad. That I know Alan's brought him up before. He was teased in the end of Guardians. He was in like
Oh,
the gold sarcophagus,
yeah.
and it was like it was Johnny something, or like it was a Adam Warlock. Yes,
Yes,
that.
thank you,
Yeah.
thank you. I'm all I could think of was, Black Adam,
Okay.
and I was like, "I know it's not
Yeah.
right,
That's the
but I
wrong
can't
universe. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know, I know, but I couldn't quite get there, but I was like, "I'm on the right track," but yes, thank
Yeah.
you, Ellen.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, I don't. Yeah. Anyways, you brought up pirates. You brought up pirates.
I did.
And to answer to, are you excited by this at all? No, I'm not
Me
excited by this at
neither.
all. It's
I'm really
uh,
sad that I'm not excited because I totally loved Pirates, like, I was definitely, like, you know, all at the midnight showings of, all the Pirates
mhm.
movies 'cause I was so excited about it, they were so much fun, and now I'm just really sad about all of
I
this.
mean, if we just take a look at the state of Hollywood, what's the last kind of movie like this? Fun, exciting, adventure for everyone, whatever kind of big thing that you've really been pumped for and had wanted to go to the midnight launch. And because during the Pirates time, yeah, that was like Spider-Man, and then we had Pirates and Lord of the Rings. These are
Mhm,
like staples to like what's built pop culture and stuff.
mhm.
Now what? I think there's movies that come out and people see them and they do well, and it's like, well, that was fine. Like
Yeah,
the Jurassic World movies. I feel like that's a holdover. They're
yeah.
trying to continue those, but usually it's people's reaction as well. That was, okay, it was cool, dinosaurs, but
Mhm.
it's not leaving the impression like
Right.
these other franchises did for a while. It's basically become the Marvel show. That's
Yeah,
like it. Um, which really sucks, actually. It's
it
uh,
does. Yeah, it's yeah, we've had less, kind of like traditional popcorn flicks, but well done that people are excited for, you
mhm.
know? I mean, most of, like, the sort of things that you think of, like, summer blockbusters have just been pretty big flops, or they're like you said, or they're Marvel movies, and
Yeah,
they're gonna do well, but I don't know, after a while, you just don't get as excited about them.
yeah.
I don't know, in the same way maybe.
I mean, I don't know if it's that, because I mean, you go through the '90s, you've got things like Armageddon, you've got the Mummy movies, and then you get
Love
the
those.
Matrix on '99.
Yeah.
Everybody's talking about the Matrix, and then you get yeah, the Spider-Man movies 1 and 2. Those were massive,
Mhm.
and then all the pirate craze, Johnny Depp craze, all that stuff that
Mhm.
was big. Like we had a run there, that love it or hate it, critically acclaimed or not, were everybody went to see him. They were
Yeah.
fun times at the theaters. And then we started just getting like repeats of Transformers, and everybody just gets
Mhm.
really burnt out. And then then they're working really hard. They're stretching to, try to make pirates still be a thing when no one cares anymore. And yeah, then we get a harder, like darker reboot of Fantastic Four, and the X-Men movies just like going off a cliff,
Oh
you know,
god, I know. Yeah,
just
free fall for
just
X-Men.
the Lord of the Rings, that was consistent entertainment. We get the Hobbit movies where they stretch all this tiny book into three,
Mhm.
incredibly long
Unnecessary.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like no wonder the Marvel movies have done well. It's like the only consistent popcorn flicks that we have available right now,
Mhm.
unless I'm forgetting something, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, consistent is definitely the key word there.
Hmm.
'Cause, I mean, we have DCU, but it's been so up and down that
Yeah.
yeah,
Mixed
I
bag.
mean
Right.
yeah.
I think
Yeah.
like the death of it the Dark Knight, that was the end,
So
you
good.
know? And then The Dark Knight Rises from there on, was just sort of downhill.
Yeah.
Just sort of, and I don't know, maybe that was too late already. Maybe, I don't know, but
No, I mean, I feel like Dark Knight Rises was like a slip, but not a fall. And then
mhm,
after that was fall. And then, I mean, obviously we've gotten some peaks. Obviously I think Wonder Woman is a fantastic movie, and I
yep.
enjoy Aquaman, even if I don't like think it's a critically acclaimed type of movie. It's not the best I've ever seen, but it's an enjoyable film,
Right.
and certainly a bright spot. I also think Shazam is a bright spot, um, just because it's such a different, striking tone of a movie for DC that they clearly just like had fun with.
Hmm.
And I think that's what's missing, honestly, from DC is fun.
Yep.
Like there's too much pressure to be good, which I think they turn to being dark or being
It was
serious or
no stuff.
being, yeah, I mean,
That's what,
it worked for Batman though. Like it worked
yeah, it's
initially.
Batman. Yeah. Hmm.
Um, but now I think it's carried on too long and in too many other films. Do you know what I mean? Even Suicide
Yeah.
Squad, which was supposed to be like fun, didn't feel fun.
Hmm.
And I think that was like the one thing about Shazam where like even if the story wasn't like upheld to like the highest quality of storytelling, I still felt like the fun in it.
Right.
So I think
I
DC
mean,
needs a little infusion of fun.
I'm just wondering, like, I mean, literally, was the Dark Knight the end of
Mm, popcorn
like
flicks,
all of it? Yeah, all of it.
like our
And
our
after,
anticipation of popcorn flicks and things like
yeah,
that.
because
Yeah.
the Dark Knight came out in 2008.
Okay.
If we like look at the Pirates of the Caribbean films, at World's End was 2007. It wasn't
Yeah.
until 2011, which was
Yeah.
Strange on Stranger Tides, which did not do very well.
No, it did
So,
not.
and The Dark Knight Rises was 2012. So it's like we reached the pinnacle at
Mhm.
The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
And then basically
Totally.
the tens, the 2010s and onward, it's
Yeah.
just fallen off. And everyone's just seceded to Marvel movies
Yeah.
for The Thing and everyone else. I don't know. I
No.
didn't like think of this beforehand, so I haven't like analyzed it or like gone through the films.
Yeah.
It just is striking me that we reach peak popcorn flick with The Dark Knight, and then
Yeah.
since then it's been garbage.
I'm totally following you with that train of thought. Like, I mean, it's hard to measure, without having the years of the films, but now that you pointed that out,
Hmm.
that they were that's kind of the progression that happened. I'm totally with you. Yeah,
Um,
disappointing for sure. Um, and unfortunately for me, I'm not sure either way that Disney goes in choosing their Pirate 6. I don't know that I'm gonna be excited for either, which is
yep.
disappointing.
Spider-Man 3, by the way, was 2007. So again, it was like the
Okay.
next
Yeah.
year. The next year was the best thing we got, and then it's
Yeah.
like, well, let's reboot Spider-Man. That's
Right.
it. So,
Right. Yeah, no, we ran out of everything. Yeah.
I don't know. Anyways, that's that. But yeah, I think they should be. The Pirates aren't a thing right now.
Yeah, leave
It's
it
not like people
alone.
are clamoring for Pirates.
Especially not a Johnny
It's
Depp Pirates.
Yeah, it's and I don't need a reboot. Like those films
No.
are recent enough. They're not like they were made in the 70s.
Yep.
We can wait.
Yep.
And I'm sorry, Disney. I'm sorry that yes, this cash cow, you've just dried up, but you're gonna milk it for all it's worth. It's just
Yep.
and it's you ruin what has already been then. You
Yes.
always want to end on a high note or something relatively as a high note, and um, you're not going to do that if you keep going forward.
Right.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I get the impulse for redos. I do. Especially when you feel like you have a good thing going and you just like messed something up a little bit. Like I get the impulse after the first Spider-Man. You had a great 1 and 2, and then 3 was a disappointment. So I get the urge to be like, no, 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 just like give us a chance. We can do it better. But I just feel like studios have to ignore that. You know what I mean? Like just ignore that impulse because they've tried to do it one too many times and the audience that they have now is just not forgiving of that. I'm not forgiving of that.
But it's there. That's another of the example, just with the Fantastic Four, where they had
Right.
to make another film or
Yep.
they lose the rights.
Yes.
So, like,
Well, then
I
lose the
definitely
rights.
get that. I know. It's just if you don't have something for it, I don't know.
Right.
It's just it's wishful thinking. It's wishful thinking to think that, you know, everybody, big companies, and everyone is going to just like, we appreciate the story so much and the integrity of this, and we can't come up with what's right and, you
Mhm.
know, come up with something really satisfying. We're not going to do it. Of course, that's not going to happen. It's, you know,
Yeah, I
it's
mean, yeah, I get what you're saying. Like they can't just like, everything can't just rest on creative integrity. It has to be,
yeah.
like we have the rights, we should, do something with it, see if we can make money. But at
Yep.
some point, don't you also say like we need to cut our losses because we're paying for the rights to this? We
I
also made several movies that just bombed in which we lost more money. How much money are we gonna, invest in this before we get enough of a winner to justify paying for the rights to movies that we keep messing up?
But it's something like Spider-Man, you know, I mean, or even how much, you know, what the star, how uh, criticized the Star Wars movies are, they all
Yeah.
still each made $1 billion. You know,
Yeah,
you can make a
that's
lot
true.
of movies in a known franchise with a, you know, a known IP and still make money.
True.
Like they can, you know, Pirates of the Caribbean, I bet all five made money. Okay, they
Yeah.
all made bank. You know, it just, you could see the downward trajectory. Well,
Yeah.
how far do you want to run it into the ground and where do you no longer break even? You
Right,
know,
right. That's true.
this,
Yeah, I guess
and
I guess it's I was mostly thinking of, like, Fantastic Four, just because
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
because those are really, yeah,
they're just
yeah,
so bad that studios lost money.
yeah.
In fact, I know they did on the second one, or the reboot, excuse me, the
Mhm.
rebooted movie, but, yeah, I don't know.
Which I thought looked kind of cool, actually. I was like, hey, maybe it'll be good. I don't know.
Oh,
It
I
kind of had a,
agree.
the
Before I actually saw the movie, I was very excited.
big names in it, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah, it
no one
seemed
you know.
great,
Yeah,
but yeah, no, actually watching the movie was quite a different experience.
I didn't see it, so. uh,
Mm, don't.
Well, we want to get on to quickly a little,
Yeah,
just let people know what we're watching and some of that.
that sounds good to me. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I'm all over the place right now. Just watching different things. So watching some new, some old. Guess I'll start with older first. So I just wrapped up watching the CW reboot of the old 80s soap opera Dynasty.
Okay.
Um, it's awesome. It's trashy, campy, soapy, terrible
Nice.
fun. So it was definitely just like a total, just like mind escape, like,
Yeah.
um, yeah, it was quite enjoyable. There's just like 3 seasons of it. They all go pretty quickly. Like you can definitely like skip around on actual storylines because storylines aren't the point. Um, so so that was very fun. And then as far as something new that I'm watching, um, on Netflix this week, a movie just dropped called Eurovision Song Contest: The Story of Fire Saga, with Will Ferrell and Rachel McAdams.
Yeah.
And they seem like the weirdest pairing, but they
Mhm.
somehow work. Like
Okay.
I wasn't really going into it with like, a whole lot of
High
expectation.
expectations. Yeah.
Yeah, but they're very funny. So
Okay.
yes. So the basic premise of the movie that is a little spoilery, but not terribly. So Will Ferrell and Rachel McAdams are a singing duo from Iceland who want to compete in the Eurovision Song Contest. For best original song, they do performances and they go up against, pairs of singers and bands and things from all over Europe, and then they're trying to win this giant contest. So it's very like spoofy of all the kind of Voice and American Idol contests that we have out there. And then it's also kind of got like it's ABBA inspired, so it's all like disco poppy music fun.
Nice.
It's really great. I haven't finished it
Okay.
yet, so I don't know how it turns out, but it's pretty great. I would highly recommend it.
Awesome.
So
That sounds fun. I saw that come up. I saw someone's review of it. I didn't watch it though. I was like,
yeah,
this came out of nowhere. That's
yeah.
but I used to laugh so much at Will Ferrell stuff, and it's
Mhm.
been a while.
Yeah.
So if he has something good again, that would be exciting.
Yeah. It's not it's not like his best work ever.
Mhm.
I think so
It's
many of
not Step Brothers.
Oh god, I love Step Brothers. It's probably not quite Step Brothers, but it's very good.
Okay. Okay.
Like high quality, good fun. Good classic
Ah,
Will Ferrell fun.
Step Brothers. I can watch that movie a lot. It's
Yep.
good. Well, that's good. I'll have to maybe try that.
Yeah. And then I know both of us we're both watching Doom Patrol, which we
Yep.
talked about in our spoiler cast and then a little bit, earlier in this show, which I'm very much enjoying. Um, Speaking of, kind of extended universe content that,
Yeah.
maybe
Mhm.
studios should be exploring more heavily. Doom Patrol
Yep.
is excellent. We're both watching it. I believe we're both watching it on HBO Max.
Yep. Hmm.
So, yeah, go HBO Max, getting some high quality content on there. And then I did start the next couple episodes of Dr. Stone, which we had talked
Okay.
about way back in episode 2 of our podcast, at our HomeCon that
Yes.
we had started a
Oh,
couple
really? Was it in
episodes of.
episode 2 or that man? Yeah, that was a while ago.
I know. So, yeah, how many months ago was that? Pre-COVID. Um, yeah, so I watched the next couple episodes of Dr. Stone. Gotta say, it's still holding up.
That's good. I need to get back on that for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
On my list, I mentioned all the shows that I need to start again.
I saw
Uh,
that.
so Dr. Stone, My Hero Academia,
Mhm.
Clone Wars, all that stuff. I intend to get into those more. It's been work and it's been video games and stuff, and I haven't put the time into the shows, but I should.
Mhm.
And then yeah, Doom Patrol. Everybody should check out our breakdowns if you're watching through that with us.
Mhm.
You brought up a good point quickly. It was another story I should have put in here, and everybody can think what they will of it. I don't know which episodes they are, but HBO Max is setting up I was getting very excited for them. It's like, okay, Doom Patrol is going to be a good thing. We're going to start seeing it. Rumor is the Harley Quinn animated show is coming to
Yes.
HBO Max. Not sure when, but that'll be good.
Mhm.
Um, but they're starting out with this vein of censorship and I don't know, HBO gets the impression when you talk to people about HBO, it's like HBO, Showtime, Cinemax, adult content, basically,
Absolutely.
hardcore stuff. And I don't know if they're working hard to go against that or something, but South Park is on there now and they've taken away
Yeah.
5 episodes.
Oh,
So
what?
5 episodes are not included.
Okay. I did
Five
not
of
hear
the
that.
deemed most controversial episodes are
Okay.
not on there. And it's like, I get it that like the parent company owns them, so it's going to go there. But
Sure.
it just seems like, all the things we watched True Blood on
Yeah.
HBO,
Yeah.
like raunchy, racy, like that's what it gets for TV. And now you're gonna pull out some episodes of a cartoon. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's annoying, and it's on top of the no guns in the Looney Tunes, and
Right.
just like I don't know. Come on, HBO. Like we're your,
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
interesting. I mean, I'd heard that, South Park was coming to HBO Max, but I had not
Mhm.
heard about them pulling 5 episodes, so I am quite surprised at that.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's that side thing. But yeah, that's what we're watching.
Mhm.
Um, I would be very interested if anyone watches this to get back to us on what they think of reboots,
Mhm.
where they stand on pirates, if they're excited or not. Make sure you leave us feedback and stuff. Are we missing out on anything, Andrea? I thought this was going to be a short episode.
I
Looked
know.
at we don't have a big theme here and stuff, and
I feel
yeah, it's
like it
going to be a
always
short.
happens that way though. We're like, "Oh, this is going to be a short episode. Like we don't have much to say." And then suddenly we get into a tangent that's, how many,
Yep.
45, 50 minutes long. So,
Yep.
but
Yeah, it kind of happens when you don't have as much to try to get through.
yes.
You can just talk about whatever and feel free to expand. So
Right.
yeah. So um so yeah, we covered all the bases.
I think so. I think we're
All right.
safe.
Okay, well, everybody, thanks for tuning in.
Mhm.
Make sure you follow, share, subscribe. We're on most all the things: Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. We do usually one episode a week that makes the video format and the audio only format. We usually do an extra episode a week, often for
Mhm.
Spoilercast or something else. We've done Westworld in the past, season 3, done Violet Evergarden, that
Mhm.
kind of thing. So we're now doing Doom Patrol. Be sure to watch that with us if you're just getting into the series, as season 2 has just been released.
Mhm.
Um, what else? Thank you to Killing the Flower for our theme song. Check them out on Instagram and on Spotify. Take a look at our website. I'm putting up clips. If you don't have the patience to listen to us yammer for 90 minutes or something like that, I'm trying to look at some topics, some certain particular elements of an episode that be of interest to people, and put those up. Those will be shorter.
Mhm.
So take a look at those, and you know otherwise you should just put this on while you're cleaning or something in the background, and then you
Yeah.
hear me say something stupid and you're like, I disagree with that moron, and then you go on YouTube and you tell me. That's how we do this.
That's how it works. Yep.
Yep. All right,
All right.
well, I think that's it. Thanks for joining me, Andrea. You have a good weekend.
You too. Cheers,
Heal up
everybody.
well. Yeah.
Yes, I will try. Got to get back out there.
Yep. All right, bye.
Good night.